friends. This Tuesday, April 20th, is a holiday called Earth Day. And that is a day in which we talk about, preserving our earth, taking care of our land, our water, having clean air, and also taking care of all the living creatures on the earth. And that leads to the story that I'm going to read to you this week. The book is called A Boy and a Jaguar, written by Alan Rabinowitz with illustrations by Katya Chen. Now, this book is an autobiography. I know last week I read to you that book about mud, remember, about Lena Blackburn discovering the mud to put on baseballs? And I told you that that's a biography. Okay, that was a true story about a person's life. This book is an autobiography. Okay, it's a little different. A biography is written by a different author. It's not written by the person that the book is about. Okay, Lena Blackburn last week did not read that book that I read. However, this book is written by Alan Rabinowitz, and in this book, he tells about his childhood and his life. He's telling his own story. So that's what makes it an autobiography. And this is a true story also, just like the one I told you last week. Now, this book, I'm reading it for Earth Day because Alan Rabinowitz is actually a very famous zoologist, and that's someone who studies animals. And he studies in particularly large cats, okay? He's very knowledgeable on tigers, lions, and jaguars. And we find out that he actually created one of the first preserves for jaguars, and that's a protected area where they can't be hunted because these are animals that are endangered, which means that there's not a lot of them left. So he was a very important zoologist who really helped speak for these animals. And we find out that that's important to his story because as a child, he had a lot of trouble speaking. He had something called a stutter. And that's something where, a person, they know what they want to say, they can picture the words in their head, but maybe their body and their mouth just won't get the words out. Sometimes they stutter, okay? And the person who wrote this book, Alan Rabinowitz, he had a very severe stutter when he was a child, okay? And we're going to find out more about that. All right, so this is A Boy and a Jaguar, and this is an autobiography. Okay, so A Boy and a Jaguar. I'm standing in the great cat house at the Bronx Zoo. Why is this jaguar kept in a bare room, I wonder? I lean toward my favorite animal and whisper to her. What are you doing? My father asks. I try to explain, but my mouth freezes, just as I knew it would. I am a stutterer. If I try to push words out, my head and body shake uncontrollably. The teachers at school put me in a class for disturbed children. He's not disturbed, my parents say. We're sorry, the teachers answer, but whenever he tries to speak, he disrupts the class. The teachers think I am broken. Am I? All right, this is so sad what's happening with this boy. And I want to say, this story, he grew up a long time ago. I think nowadays, teachers, you would not be put in a special class just for a stutter, okay? And in fact, teachers, we're much more knowledgeable now on things like speaking delays and things like that. But back when he was growing up, they didn't know any better. So he thought that there was something broken inside of him, and that's very sad. But I can do two things without stuttering. One is sing, only I can't sing very well, and the other is talk to animals. Every day, I come home from class and go straight to the closet in my room. I bring out my pets, a hamster, a gerbil, a green turtle, a chameleon, and a garter snake. I close the door and I talk to them without stuttering. I tell them my dreams. I tell them that I want to be able to speak like everyone else. I know that my pets listen and understand. Animals can't get the words out, just as I can't get the words out. So people ignore or misunderstand or hurt them, the same way people ignore or misunderstand or hurt me. I make a promise to my pets. I promise that if I can ever find my voice, I will be their voice and keep them from harm. Boys and girls, why do you think Alan can talk to the animals, but he can't talk to his teachers? You know, I think it may be because he knows that the animals aren't going to make fun of him, right? The animals, they're just gonna, show love, right? Or just acceptance, okay? They're not gonna make him feel bad if he can't get the words out. So maybe that makes him comfortable. I know some of you might feel that way, all right? Maybe in class, it's hard to speak your mind and talk in front of all the different people in front of your teachers, but maybe at home you're more comfortable talking to your family, or maybe even talking to your pets or your stuffed animals. And that's okay, my friends. I know some people, it's hard to get out your words in a big group setting. My parents try everything to help me. Doctor after doctor, medicine and hypnosis, nothing works. But my father knows the one thing that does work. He takes me to the great cat house at the Bronx Zoo. I go straight to the cage with the lone Jaguar, lean over the railing, and put my face against the bars. I whisper my promise to her fluently. Fluently means that in a way that everyone can understand. Now, he's going to the Bronx Zoo. I've been to the Bronx Zoo before. Have any of you ever been to the Bronx Zoo? Oh, it's such a great zoo. If you haven't been, definitely you should go. And when you're there, go check out the big cats. That would be so cool. I get through school by learning tricks that stutterers learn. I learn when not to speak, when to avoid situations, and when to just not be around people. When I'm in college, my parents enroll me in an experimental program. There, I'm told that I am a stutterer and will always be a stutterer, always. But the teacher tells me that if I work hard, I can be a completely fluent stutterer. Again, fluent means that people can understand you. I think about how my mouth moves and airflow, and for the first time in years, I can speak without stuttering. I can speak, but nothing has changed on the inside. I still feel broken. Ugh. I go to the Great Smoky Mountains to study black bears. Alone in the forest with the animals, I am at home. Later, in Belize, I am the first person to study jaguars. The jungle makes me feel more alive than I have ever felt. I learn how to follow and capture jaguars for study before releasing them back into the wild. I am happy. But as fast as I catch jaguars and gather information to help them, hunters are hunting them. They fear the animals and prize their bodies as trophies. I need to get more areas protected for the jaguars. I want to keep the promise I made to the pets in my closet. I have a voice now to speak for animals. In the capital city of Belize, in the office of the Prime Minister, I am given 15 minutes to make my case. 15 minutes. I can't stutter and distract from my message. I have to convince one of the poorest countries in Central America with no protected areas in the entire country that it has to save jaguars. Later that day, the Prime Minister votes to set up the world's first and only jaguar preserve. Back in the jungle, I know all the jaguars in the study area from their tracks. But one day, I come across a completely new track, the biggest male jaguar tracks I have ever seen. I follow the prints for hours. Not wanting to be caught in the jungle at night without a flashlight, I turn around to go back to camp. There, right behind me, is the jaguar. He must have been following me. I know I should feel frightened, but I squat down and look into the jaguar's eyes, just as I had with the sad old female at the Bronx Zoo. But this animal isn't sad. In this animal's eyes are strength and power and sureness of purpose. We are both whole. We are both at home. I lean toward him a little, the way I had at the Bronx Zoo so many years before. Thank you, I whisper. The end. Boys and girls, why do you think Alan said thank you to the Jaguar? Well, I think in a way he was thanking all of those animals that he had that he now became the voice of, because by him being the voice of these animals that can't speak, that in a way gave them his own voice. Okay, so I think as much as Alan helps these animals, in a way they help him back, and I think that's wonderful. Now, unfortunately, Alan Rabinowitz did pass away a couple of years ago, but I found a really cool news segment on him that is the next video. Definitely watch it so you could learn a little bit more about the real person, Alan Rabinowitz, excuse me. And like I said, this is an autobiography because he actually wrote the book about himself.